Feeling overwhelmed by stock market stress? Find calm with Rhythm Mental Care. It's okay to set down your investment stress. Investing can be tough. You're not alone. When you focus only on charts and numbers, there are moments when your mind simply feels heavy. A stock plunges just before reaching your target. A favorite position breaks its rhythm and shakes your confidence. Despite all your analysis and data, you feel powerless. Everyone who invests has been there. Let's step away from the data for a moment and turn our attention to our hearts and minds. Mental Rhythm tips 3 ways to ease investment stress. 1. Your emotions are completely natural. Sadness, frustration, anxiety over losses. These are normal human reactions. Instead of blaming yourself, recognize them as part of the investing journey. 2. Rhythm expansion is a time for patience. One of rhythm analysis's greatest lessons is that every contraction is followed by an expansion. Just as markets breathe in and out, you need breaks too. Embrace the waiting period as part of the process. 3. Investing is a marathon, not a sprint. A single mistake doesn't define your entire journey. Take a long-term view, recover at your own pace, and remember, the market always offers new opportunities. Today's Rhythm quote: successful investors are those who have overcome many failures. Benjamin Graham, your losses today are the foundation for your successes tomorrow. It's perfectly fine to take a breather. A fellow investor's story, a new rhythm analysis student recently shared. I was losing sleep over my losses every night. After learning rhythm analysis, I realized the chart always gives clues, and that patience leads to recovery. Most importantly, my mind finally feels at ease. Exactly. The purpose of analysis is to bring peace of mind and help us make better decisions. The right mindset for rhythm analysis. Rhythm is the market's heartbeat. Inhale, exhale, natural flow. When you face losses, go offbeat, or realize you misjudged a move, that's not failure. It's part of finding a better rhythm next time. Just as you follow the market's rhythm, take moments to follow your own heart's rhythm too. Rhythm Mental Care is always here for you. Set down your stress for a moment, breathe with the rhythm, and move forward steadily. Seedling, read the rhythm. Calm your mind. Enjoy investing. Seedling.
Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating set of insights, something that I think speaks to a common experience for so many of you out there. You know, navigating the financial markets. We're focusing on just one source today, but it's compelling. It's an excerpt from an online video, and it's titled, "Can Investment Loss Stress Be Solved with Rhythm Analysis? Overcoming Investment Psychology and Stress." And this isn't just, another technical breakdown. It's really an in-depth exploration into something we often overlook when we talk investments. That's the emotional toll, the very human side of the numbers game. And maybe we should clarify for listeners, when this source talks about rhythm analysis, what does that mean exactly?
Right. Good point. It's basically referring to understanding the recurring patterns and cycles you see in market movements. So instead of seeing the market as just random, unpredictable ups and downs, it's viewed as having a kind of natural breath, a flow, expansion, contraction.
Got it. Like finding the underlying pulse.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating here, I think, is how this material bridges that analytical world of investing, which can feel quite rigid sometimes, with the very human experience of stress and anxiety and just raw emotion. So our mission today really is to pull out the key strategies, the shifts in mindset this source offers for managing that mental side of investing. It's all about finding, a deeper sense of peace amidst all the numbers. Recognizing that successful investing isn't just what you know. It's profoundly about how you feel, and maybe more importantly, how you react to what you know.
Okay, so if I'm tracking this right, we're not just looking at market trends today. We're really diving deep into the psychology of it all. Specifically, how to handle the inevitable ups and downs, and maybe even more critically, the stress that just naturally comes with investing. It sounds like we're looking at the emotional balance sheet, not just the P&L.
That's a great way to put it.
So our source jumps right in. It asks this question that, honestly, I think many of us have wondered about silently. Can investment loss stress be solved with rhythm analysis? And it starts with this really powerful kind of universal truth for investors. Investment is hard, isn't it? You are not alone. That opening line, it just immediately gives you a sense of comfort, right? It validates something so many people feel. Why do you think that resonates so much right off the bat?
Well, it cuts through that feeling of isolated struggle, I think. We often feel like our investment anxieties are, our own personal failures. But the source immediately says, hey, you're not alone in this. You're in good company. And that naturally leads to the next question. Why do we feel this stress, especially so acutely when it comes to investing? The source points to some very specific, very relatable moments where that emotional strain really ramps up. Think about that awful feeling, like gut-wrenching drop when a stock price falls sharply right before hitting your target. Makes you question everything.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
Or, when a stock you really trust, when you've researched and believed in, suddenly goes off script.
Yeah.
Deviates from its usual rhythm. Leaves you feeling completely lost. Adrift. And it may be the most common one. That just overwhelming sense of powerlessness. staring at endless data, endless analysis, not knowing which way to turn. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're the pressure points, the moments that cause real emotional strain, sleepless nights, that constant low-level anxiety.
It's exactly those moments of vulnerability that hit home.
Yep.
And this next bit, this really flips the script for a lot of folks, I imagine. The source invites us to, quote, step away from the data and numbers for a moment and focus on our minds and psychology. That's a huge pivot, isn't it? Instead of more charts, more news feeds, it says, look inward. I mean, for a field so dominated by quant analysis, isn't that almost revolutionary to say, hold on, before you analyze the market, maybe analyze yourself?
It absolutely is. And I think that's where real resilience gets built. And to help with that self-reflection, the source gives us mental rhythm tips, 3 ways to reduce investment stress. And these aren't just, feel-good sayings. They're practical, profound even. Insights that come from observing market cycles, sure, but also from understanding basic human nature. They're really aimed at fundamentally reframing how we respond emotionally to investing.
Okay, let's get into them. The first one really stood out to me. Your current feelings are natural. This one just resonates, It says, sadness, frustration, and anxiety due to investment failure or loss are very natural and normal emotions. It basically tells us, don't beat yourself up, don't think you're uniquely bad at this, understand that everyone experiences this process.
About normalization, right?
Exactly, normalization. When you accept that feeling down or frustrated about a loss is just human, you take away the power of self-blame. And that self-blame often leads to those impulsive, panicky decisions we regret later.
Accepting it allows you to regain some mental clarity, to actually look at the situation rationally instead of just getting swept away by the emotion.
Yeah, fighting the feeling just makes it worse, doesn't it?
Precisely. Fighting or judging ourselves for having these natural emotions actually amplifies the stress. Letting them be, accepting them, allows them to kind of pass through, much like a market cycle moves through its phases. And this connects beautifully to the second tip, building on that idea of natural cycles. Rhythm's expansion is a time for waiting. The source points out that one of the biggest lessons from rhythm analysis is pretty simple. Expansion always follows contraction. Always. And this isn't just markets. It applies to life in general. It notes life, like investing, cannot always exist in constant tension. So it suggests that during those down periods, the contraction phases, the waiting times, it's not just about toughing it out. It's about actively finding rest, taking a break.
Okay, but how do investors practically do that? This idea of waiting or taking a break in a market that feels like it demands 204/7 attention.
That's the key question, isn't it? Especially with that pressure to be always on, always checking. Practically speaking, it means making a conscious choice to step away, maybe setting limits. Like specific times you check your portfolio and times you absolutely don't.
Or even like news-free days.
Yeah, dedicating certain days to not engaging with market news at all. It's about recognizing that just constantly watching during those contraction periods when things are pulling back or going sideways, that can lead straight to burnout and bad decisions driven by fatigue or frustration.
Right.
Whereas a strategic pause, deliberately stepping back during those waiting periods, that can actually recharge you mentally, give you clearer perspective, prepare you for the next upswing, which rhythm analysis suggests is inevitable.
It feels counterintuitive, maybe, doing less, but it sounds like doing less is actually doing more for your mental state in your long-term game.
A very powerful point. And that flows perfectly into the third tip, which uses such a great analogy. Investing is a marathon, not a sprint.
The source hammers this home. One mistake does not determine everything. It pushes us to look long-term and recover slowly, reminding us, crucially, that the market always provides opportunities again. It's so fundamental, this principle, yet so easy to forget when you're in the thick of it.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly easy to get sucked into the minute-by-minute, the day-to-day noise, letting one dip, one temporary loss feel like the end of the world, the end of your strategy. But this tip forces you to zoom out, to see that dip or loss as just one step, maybe even a stumble, in a much, much longer race. It totally reframes failure, doesn't it, from this permanent thing to just a temporary data point, maybe even an informative one. On a long journey. This long-term view is something the legends always talk about, right?
It echoes that wisdom exactly. In fact, Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing.
He had a saying that just perfectly captures this. Our source calls it today's rhythm maxim and attributes it to Graham. A successful investor is an investor who has overcome many failures.
That hits the marathon analogy right on the head, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about avoiding failure. It's about navigating through it, learning from it, persisting. And the source adds this really compassionate, forward-looking piece. Today's loss will be the stepping stone for tomorrow's success. It's okay to take a break for a while. That validates the need for emotional recovery, which is so important. It basically says sometimes the smartest move for your portfolio, and definitely for your sanity, is to just step back, breathe, reevaluate, allow yourself that space. And there's a story in the source that really brings this to life, a shared investment story. It talks about a newer investor who was just tormented by losses, literally losing sleep over it every night. Sounds awful. But then they discovered rhythm analysis. And this person found, quote, the charts always provide hints, and that eventually the flow recovers during periods of waiting. Sounds like quite a journey. From that crippling anxiety to, well, a different understanding. What was the big takeaway for them?
It's a journey many investors probably recognize. And the core takeaway, the ultimate impact for this person, is fascinating. They said, most importantly, my mind became comfortable. That highlights the deeper goal here, I think. Understanding rhythm analysis isn't just about profit, though better decisions might lead there. It's fundamentally about achieving mental peace, stability. The source is explicit. The reason we learn analysis is ultimately to help us feel at ease and make better decisions. So it shifts market analysis from just a technical exercise to a tool for, well, self-care, better judgment, which ties right back into that rhythm mental care idea mentioned in the source.
That focus on mental comfort. Wow, that really changes the whole game, doesn't it? And the source goes even deeper into this, into the mindset of rhythm analysis. It paints this beautiful picture. Rhythm is ultimately the market's breath, a natural flow like inhaling and exhaling. That's not just poetic, it's an invitation, isn't it? To view the market with the same kind of natural acceptance we have for breathing. It suggests volatility isn't just chaos, but a necessary part of the system's pulse.
It's a really profound metaphor.
Yeah.
And it makes you ask, okay, how do we apply that to our own experience, especially when things seem to go wrong? Well, the source advises that even when you have temporary losses or the market deviates from what you expected or you make a wrong call, it is not a failure, but a process to find the next better flow. That reframing is incredibly powerful. Every setback isn't the end. It's not a sign you failed personally. It's a learning moment, a chance to adjust, find a new balance. It implies this continuous adaptive process, like breathing, right? Inhale, exhale, pause, then repeat. It never truly stops.
So wrapping this up for you, the listener, navigating your own path, what does this all boil down to? It sounds like it means approaching investing with more acceptance, definitely more patience, and maybe some self-compassion too. The source encourages us to look at our own minds comfortably sometimes, just as we look at the market following its rhythm.
That's quite a suggestion for self-awareness, isn't it? To apply the same non-judgmental observation to our internal world as we do to the charts.
It really is. And the material finishes by emphasizing the support this perspective offers. The Rhythm Mental Care Corner is always by your side. Let go of stress for a moment and slowly move forward with rhythm. It reinforces that understanding market rhythm isn't just abstract. It's a practical path to mental well-being, a resource you can lean on. It's like a gentle reminder, you know? You don't have to carry all that investment stress alone. There's a natural ebb and flow. In the market, yes, but also within yourself, and that flow can guide you. Wow. That was a genuinely insightful deep dive. Really focused on the human side of investing. We went from normalizing stress and loss all the way to embracing that long-term marathon view. It feels like a really compassionate but also super practical guide. Definitely a refreshing change from just pure numbers and technicals. More personal, empowering, actually.
Yeah, we've seen how understanding this idea of rhythm, whether it's market cycles or our own emotions, can be a serious tool for finding mental peace. And that peace ultimately leads to clearer thinking, better decisions. The core message seems pretty clear. Read the rhythm, manage your mind, enjoy investing. It's about finding that harmony, right, between your inner world and the outer market, recognizing that real success often starts with, well, mental calm.
So maybe the next time you feel that familiar weight of investment stress, remember what we talked about today, could looking at those tough moments not as failures, but just as part of the market's natural breath, you know, a pause, an inhale before the next exhale of opportunity, could that truly transform your whole investment journey? It's not just about getting your portfolio back on track. Maybe it's about getting your peace of mind back.
Something profound to think about for sure as you continue on your own learning path. We really hope this deep dive helps you navigate the market with, more comfort and confidence.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. Until next time.